Hey guys, Dan Picard here with Eastman's Hunting Journal and Bow Hunting Journal and Beyond the Grid. We have the Mathews Lift here for a gear review today. And wow, what a great bow. I took this hunting in November and I shot an awesome whitetail. And now here we are several months later. What is it, May by now? And we're gonna review it. I've had a chance to hunt with it, shoot it, test it, and we're gonna even compare it to last year's Mathews Phase 4 and just see what the differences are. What is the value that you're getting by buying the Lift over the Phase 4 from last year? Some guys like to buy bows every year, a new bow every single year. Others like to wait 5-10 years, to each their own. But the Lift is packed with a lot of new cool things, and it's actually changed quite a bit. So let's dive right in. So first, this is the 29.5. There's also a 33, but that's the axle to axle. This bow is set at 29 inches, which is my draw length, 80% let off, and a 70-pound draw weight. This one is in the earth color, I believe. It's kind of like a tan desert tactical color. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I like the color. I kind of like some of these solids, these earth tones. It's pretty slick. The bows look sharp. We also have the one-piece detach quiver, which just a little lever and you can take it off. Being a Western hunter, I never take my quiver off. I always hunt with the quiver on. There's just no downside to it anymore. This low pro quiver, it's so tight to the bow, you don't even know it's on there. So I really do like the quiver. Now, I did put a custom string on here. I am completely impressed by Mathews' new match strings that they came out this year with, but I put this custom string on here by Austin Kincaid with high voltage strings. It's kind of a new material I'm testing, and it's really cool too. So I was like, what the heck, we'll put it on here. Super easy install. So I kind of have this fancy string on here, but I got my string loop, my monkey tails on here, my dialed archery sight, and we also have the projectiles here, which is the G5 Stax arrows, and I also have the Mark arrows, and we'll get into that here shortly. But the biggest difference that you see between these two bows is look at the riser. So it's the Lift right here is a lot more recessed than the Mathews Phase 4 here on the right. So what that does is it straightens it out, and it's more forgiving because your grip right here is farther back from the limb pockets, and that's where the pressure is going. And so it's gonna make for a less stable platform compared to the Lift. So this is more in line with the limb pockets on the riser because it's less recessed. But what that does, yeah, it's a more stable bow, but it's going to slow your bow down because it's gonna increase your brace height, which is from the grip to the string. But what did Mathews do? They cut weight and they made these limbs shorter. So you can see that the length of the limb on the Lift compared to the Phase 4 is shorter. And so that's how they are able to cut weight. So this bow naked weighs under 4 pounds. It's 3.99 pounds. And the Phase 4 naked is 4.4. And that's what we've kind of been seeing the last several years from Mathews with the 29-inch axle to axle is about the 4.4 pound mark. So they cut 4 ounces off this bow because of all the areas that they kind of just trimmed material off, for lack of better terms. You can see that the riser, I mean, it's machined out. These are all modern bows. The Phase 4 is machined out a little bit more. You see all the little holes, and they really cut the weight. But look at all this dual bridgeness they have going on here. You have all these gaps, and it makes for a stiff riser. So we like the dual bridge. We like the stiff riser. We've seen over the years that it's just proven to prevent less torque and twisting of the bow at full draw, and it just makes it easier to tune. So one thing here, I have my string loop on. I don't have it tied in yet because I'm still in the tuning process. I like the freedom to able to move the string loop while I'm tuning. It's about there. It's ready for the nocking point to be tied in, as well as the peep. That's also not tied in yet. It needs to be, but this style peep is is awesome because it's not gonna fling out on me if I shoot this bow without it tied in. So I love this style peep, the Jim Fletcher style. There's some other companies that make the similar peep there, but it doesn't weigh much and it's always locked in there. It's not gonna fling out, but you always wanna tie your peep in when you get your bow finalized and set up before you go hunting too, especially because you do not want that to move in any way. Another little redesign this year is this QAD Integrate MX2 rest, and this is built specifically for the Mathews bow as it attaches to the back of the riser. But I love these rests, and there's a lot of debate out there. You might be a limb-driven rest guy, you might be a cable-driven rest guy. I like my cable-driven rests when they're tuned perfectly. They have a tendency to not really pull your cables out of tune, and it's less string. So that's my mentality. It's less string to get caught on something compared to a limb-driven rest. You have, 16 inches of string that go from the rest down to your limb, and that's just more real estate or more string to get caught on something, pull on something, and screw up your rest. So I like the shorter cable of the cable-driven rest. I can take that off so you can see that a little better. So that's the MX rest. So those are the couple new features. Once again, is the less recessed riser, which is going to make for a little bit more forgiving of a platform, but the shorter limbs. And I forgot too, this is a new cam design. And so you will notice a difference when you're shooting this bow. You can even see it by looking at it. The Phase 4, the cross-centric modified cam, that they've been running the same similar-ish design for the last several years, but this new cam that Mathews built for the lift is a performance cam. It doesn't have the half round shape to it. It's more of a the classic performance cam look. So it's going to draw a little bit differently than the Phase 4 of the V3X or all the cross-centric cam bows. So theoretically it's less smooth than these older cams, but what you get out of it is 8 feet per second faster IBO. So the lift with these specs, the 29.5, it's a 348 IBO, and the Phase 4 is 340. So we got a little bit faster, so we're gonna test that in the chronograph here in a minute. So there it is, the 2024 Mathews lift. This is a sweet shooting bow, and man, the Phase 4 and the V3X, great bows. Hunting with them the last few years, it seemed like anything that I settled down and shot at, I hit exactly where I was aiming and made some great harvests over the last few years with the V3X and the Phase 4, and starting off with the lift with this whitetail last year. But just these bows are just a pleasure to shoot. They're so easy to tune. You tune these bows in about 3 shots and they're whisper quiet. So, okay, real quick, before we chronograph the lift, we're just gonna shoot this thing with the G5 Stax and critique it a little bit. See how it feels, see how it shoots. You can decide how quiet it is, but let's take a shot. Okay, so this is a 443 grain arrow. It's a little light, but let's see how it shoots. So the biggest difference that I noticed between this bow or this cam and the cross-centric cam is right before you hit that peak, it's pretty stiff. It's a stiff draw, but it's going to be. It's a performance cam, it's a speed cam, so it's gonna be a little bit more stiff of a draw cycle. And when I say stiff, I'm really critiquing it here. It's not like it's a huge difference, but I just notice it right before that valley, just right on the peak. It's just a little bit more, you can just feel this is gonna be a hot cam, let's say that. There you go, shoots good, it's quiet. It's just as quiet as any Mathews bow and then some. Before I forget, next week, be sure to look out for an arrow review on the Stax and the Marks. And it's not really a review, but we're gonna look at what the pros and cons of the two arrows are for the type of bow hunting that you're gonna do out west or out east. It varies a little bit. And what I mean by that is the Stax is a little bit lighter of an arrow compared to the Marks, and there's a little bit different construction differences between the two. So there's a lot of little things to factor in when you go to select an arrow. So be sure to keep an eye out for that video coming up right here on Eastman's Hunting Journal's YouTube channel. Let's head over to the chronograph. Let's do some speed testing. We'll compare both. And these are both the exact same spec bows, 29, 70 pounds, 80% let off. The only difference is the Phase 4 is a 29-inch axle to axle and the lift is 29.5, so just a half an inch longer. But other than that, they're the same. Obviously, I expect the lift to be faster because of the specs and the redesign and the new cam. But yeah, let's go test it out. Here we go. We are in the shade with the chronograph. We got our lights on. I think we're all set up. We're gonna shoot the Phase 4 first and then just do a quick little speed test with 2 different weight arrows, and then we'll shoot the lift and see how much faster it is. Maybe it won't be faster. Who knows? It should be faster. So first we have the Stax. This is the G5 Stax, 300 spined arrow. There's 28 inches of carbon, 100 grain tip. It weighs 443 grains. So that's about where I like to be in the 290-ish feet per second range. So let's see how this does. Yeah, this is the 29-inch Phase 4, 70 pounds, 80% let off. Let's see what we got. 295. That's pretty good. 295. You need like a group of data with these chronographs and take an average, because they're just not perfect. They're good, but they're not perfect. 296. That's pretty darn good. 296 feet per second. Phase 4. We're gonna shoot one more of the Stax and see what we get. Okay, there you have it. So now we are going to step up to the G5 Mark. This is their premium arrow. It's a little bit different, carbon weave. It's a fancy carbon wrap, super tough, but it weighs a little bit more. This total arrow weight, 28 inches of carbon, is 477 grains, which with a 100 grain tip. So I expect this to be a bit slower. What is this, 35 grains heavier than the Stax. So we should be in the 280s somewhere. Let's see what we got here. 284, that's a good speed. It did seem like it quieted things down a little bit. The heavier arrow that you have, the less vibration, the less like string slap that you'll hear. It just soaks up more of the noise when you're shooting a heavier arrow. So pros and cons to it. Makes your bow quieter, but it's slower. Speed isn't everything. 285, I like it. That's the Phase 4. We're gonna test the lift now and see if we can't get a little bit higher speeds. It should be faster because of the cam, so I gotta take this sight off. That's the cool thing about this bridge lock. Not only this one screw release, your sight comes out, and that's really handy for travel. Bow cases, flying somewhere, take your components off, take your sight off, package it up so it's nice and padded. Or if you're like me, you test a lot of different bows, it's pretty handy just to take the one screw release and you can swap around. You're testing a lot of different bows. It's pretty convenient to have, I will say. So, okay, now we're ready. The impact with both of these bows are very similar, so I actually know for a fact I won't have to mess with the sight. So here we go. Same spec, 29-inch, 70 pounds. For the record though, I have not verified these are 70 pounds. They're cranked all the way down. It's a 70-pound mod, but they're probably right there. If they are off, they're really, really close. So not verified, but 70-pound draw weight here. This is the Stax, 443 grains. Let's see what we get. You definitely notice the cam difference. It's a little bit stiffer because it's a performance cam. 298. So really not much faster. It's faster, but not much. Okay, let's shoot another Stax. Let's get a grouping of readings with the Stax. Once again, 443 grains. $299. That's zipping. Let's do one more. Let's see if we can't hit 300. $296. We dropped down a little bit. One more. Let's shoot our last one and see if we can break that 299. That's as fast as we've seen so far. 298. Okay, I'm happy with that. 298, 299. We're a few feet per second faster than the Phase 4. I will say though, the draw weight isn't verified. It's just what came from spec. This is a custom string. So this is the Mark. This is G5's premium arrow. It's a little bit different than the Stax. It's more expensive, but it's stronger. It can't not be stronger. It has the carbon weave and ultimately a little bit more weight to it on the GPI, the grains per inch. So 28 inches of carbon on the Mark here. This weighs 477 grains, so it's 35 grains-ish, if my math's right, heavier. So we should be in the 280s, is my thought, or 290, something like that. Okay. 286. Yeah, so that's what we're about seeing with this Mark in the Phase 4. It's about 10 feet per second slower than the Stax because of the weight. So 286. That's still a great bow hunting speed. It's really quick. Even for my single pin slider, I like a heavier arrow. I like a little bit faster of an arrow. So I like around 450 is good. 285, 12 feet per second slower. But those heavy arrows, it does soak up that weight a little bit and make your shot a little bit quieter. So there is a pro to that. So there you have it. There's the Mathews Lift, new for 2024, and we compared it to the Phase 4 from 2023. Both great shooting bows, a little bit quicker out of the lift. Once again, both of these bows are not verified 70 pounds. They should be within spec. They should be close, but it can vary 69 to 72. A lot of times the Mathews from the factory will be 71, 72. So that's what I have for the setup. Hope you guys enjoyed the review, gained a little insight out of it. Make sure you check back to Eastman's Hunting Journal's YouTube channel. We do these reviews all the time. We've done bow reviews for a lot of years. Check out some of the older reviews too. Great information. I try to bring you guys good stuff that nobody else is doing. So hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you out there.